AM 1230 and 93.3 FM, KTRF 945. And Thursdays at 945 is always our opportunity to bring you Mark Allen's Hometown Heroes, brought to you by Roxbury Truck Repair, the Thief River Falls Regional Airport, Phillips Iron and Metal, and Evergreen Bakery and Catering, who brought some delicious goodies out this morning and will provide for our guest today, Sandy Knudsen. Sandy, good morning.
Good morning, Mark, and everybody.
Good to have you, and thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for that.
Had to twist your arm a little bit to make sure you can get you in here.
Yes, out of my comfort zone for sure.
Well, we want to talk a little bit about Sandy today, and we like to always start with a little background about you. Sandy, where are you born and raised?
I was born right here in Thief River Falls, graduated from Lincoln High School. And I worked for Northwestern Bell when I was going to high school and transferred to Minneapolis, worked there, then decided I wanted to take LPN training. So I took LPN training in Duluth and came back to Thief River, worked for a year on my way to Fargo, got interrupted by my husband, who I met, so I stayed in Thief River, worked at what was Northwestern Hospital, changed to Northwest Medical Centers, they changed to Dakota Clinic, Merit Care, and Sanford Health.
A lot of changes, wasn't there?
A lot of changes,
but wonderful. And you followed them all the way through there too, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah. I was interrupted for about a year when I was supposed to be transitioning to Fargo because the dentist I was going to needed a nurse for a year. So he asked me, he said, would you work for me for a year since you had resigned from the hospital? And I said, yeah, that might be good experience. So I worked for a year in the dentist office, and then they asked me to come back to the hospital, so I went back there.
Yeah.
And that's the start of my surgical career.
Now, did you always, you think back years ago, always want to get into nursing or some type of nursing or care, or what got you into it?
Well, to begin with, my father was in a traumatic farm accident and had his one leg amputated and the other deep surgery with implants and such. So we had a lot of self-care going on at home, and that kind of spurred my interest in nursing.
A lot of times, something that affects you in life early on in life does affect where you go, doesn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah. And I'm guessing a lot of nurses that I've found, that I've gotten to know, nurses and doctors and whatnot, do have a deep feeling inside, emotional tie to people, their patients and people that they want to help. Same for you?
That's correct. That's my passion, and my goal all along was quality care with cost containment, and all the positions that I really did have and fortunate to have. Now,
you started, and by the time you ended your career, not only you mentioned a whole bunch of name changes for the hospitals, but things change in nursing and in the hospital setting too quite a bit, didn't they?
They certainly did. Technology is just rampant in those many, many years that I've been in. And actually, we did the first minimally invasive gallbladder surgery in the state of Minnesota here at Northwestern Hospital.
Wow, that's impressive.
So, yeah, that was before Mayo even. And we had highly skilled surgeons, highly skilled anesthesia providers, and surgical team that worked very hard to do that and did it successfully.
Are doctors sometimes only as good as their nurses and the people around them? And you mentioned anesthesiology. I mean, they're not just a doctor, but there's so many people around them who make their job, I don't want to say easier, but it's important to have the people around you to help you, right?
It's very important to have a surgical team. And there's like they say, there's no I in team. So the surgeon leads the pack, and anesthesia, between the surgeon and anesthesia, they direct traffic, so to speak. And then the RN is in charge of the room, and then surgical technology is in there as well. The surgical technologist is right at the table with the surgeon. And then there's ancillary people that are so important. If they don't do their job, if the cleaners don't do their job, or the nutrition people don't do their job, outcome isn't as good.
Yeah, everybody's got to be doing their job, right?
That's correct.
And if they are, things are good.
Correct.
But you never know too, because medicine is, anything can happen, right?
Oh, that's right. It's never without risk, and that's what people need to realize, and that's what doctors usually tell them and explain to them before a procedure.
I know I had my knee scoped, I don't know, 3, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't even remember anymore. But I remember them going through this, and I'm thinking, it's just a knee. It can't be that. But they have to go. You have to tell them that there are those warnings. You never know what can happen, right?
No, and everybody's different, so you never know the person either.
Yeah.
It's going to be different.
Yeah, it really is. Our guest today, Sandy Knutson, on today's Hometown Heroes. We're going to talk a little bit more with Sandy here in just a moment. I want to remind you, though, Roxbury Truck Repair, one of our sponsors, says, you know what, they're a truck shop here for truck and trailer maintenance and repair. Remember Roxbury Truck Repair, Thief River Falls Regional Airport with hassle-free security and free parking. Be sure to check out the benefits of flying local. Thief River Falls Regional Airport, your front door to the rest of the world. Phillips Iron and Metal. They accept all ferrous and non-ferrous metals, including but not limited to stainless steel, copper, brass, aluminum, lead, insulated wire, nickel, high-temp alloys, precious metals, etc. Whether you bring the material to us or we bring us to you, we provide quality service at competitive pricing. And, of course, our friends at Evergreen Bakery and Catering. Very fresh donuts made daily, serving breakfast and lunches, too. They're delicious, absolutely wonderful. Stop in and taste the love. Evergreen Bakery and Catering. And as our guest today, Sandy's going to receive a certificate from Evergreen Bakery and Catering for you to enjoy, too.
Wow.
That's from them. Sandy Knutson, our guest today, who you were in the hospital setting here in Thief River Falls, pretty much all of your career, for the most part. And we talked about some of the changes. As somebody who went through the stages in your nursing career, how did it go? I mean, did you start basically on a certain level and then work your way up? And is that how it kind of works in nursing?
It can work different ways in nursing. I guess I was fortunate to have worked my way through, and I started as a licensed practical nurse, and I took surgical training in St. Paul, and then I got my ADN out at Northland, and then I got my certification in operating room nursing.
Okay. What made you want to get into the operating part of it? As a nurse, nursing it encompasses quite a bit, but you kind of specified a little more going into the surgical end of it, right? That's
correct. It is a specialty, and actually it was my primary care provider when I started at Northwestern Hospital came to me and said that, we need somebody that works in surgery, and I think you'd be a good candidate. Would you be interested? And that kind of started, and I thought, well, why not learn something new? So it spurred my interest, and they sent me off to St. Paul for surgical training, and then I came back, and then I got my ADN, so then I went from a surgical technologist to an RN circulating nurse.
I would think it's got to make you feel pretty good, too, or it did at the time, for somebody to have that much confidence in you and saying, I think you'd be a great candidate for this.
Absolutely, and I've been blessed over my career, actually, to have good leaders, good teachers, and people that did support me and had faith that I could do things.
And I'm guessing you kind of did the same thing as you got maybe towards the end of your career before you retired. You probably found some people and maybe helped them as well?
I did. I hope I did. And actually, my goal was to be able to give the tools to my successors to make them successful.
Okay. And you you helped set up the surgical at Sanford here too, didn't you, when they got started here?
Yes, I did. And there again, a team approach. And I actually was blessed to put the surgery center together too when that became a surgery center and clinic, and then had the opportunity to put the Sanford together as well with a good team of very professional, experienced people. And you have to have good partners in healthcare. And like I said, I was fortunate to have those good partners. I had very professional, knowledgeable anesthesia personnel that was a great part of that team and both of those teams, and enabled us to be successful.
Do you, you've seen all the changes over the past years. What do you think are some of the things in the future for us in nursing, in medicine, in anything? What's the next big thing that's going to hit us? Any ideas?
Well, we started with gallbladders that were open gallbladders, and then they were minimally invasive gallbladders, and now they're doing robotics and all sorts of things. I don't even think I can imagine what's going to happen, because what I've seen over the last 53 years of my profession, it's unbelievable. Yeah. I never would have imagined at the beginning.
And I want to say for the most part, because you never know, but for the most part, I mean, it's pretty good stuff, and it's making it easier on your end as well as better on the end for the patient too, isn't it?
Absolutely. We went from using reusable gloves for surgery. They were surgeon-grade gloves, but we actually reused them. We washed them. We put them in a powder room. We powdered them, turned them, hung them up, sterilized them, and
you wouldn't think of that at all today.
No. Like I said, unbelievable. And that was normal. It wasn't only us little rural Minnesota, but it was all over that they were doing that. They did that down in Miller and St. Paul when I was down there. So, yes, it's changed a lot. And, you wouldn't think of doing that today.
It changes as we learn, too, I suppose.
Correct. And that's the clue, it's learn as you go.
Yeah.
And be open to change.
Sandy, if there was a young man or woman out there who wants to get into nursing or anything specialized at the same time, what kind of advice would you give them when they get started?
I think I would reassure them that nursing is a great profession. Be in it for the right reasons, be flexible, be open to change, and always be learning. Persevere through the challenges, and you'll gain from those challenges as well. You'll grow. I
think that's. I haven't heard many people say be open to the changes, and you have to enjoy it too, don't you? I mean,
you do.
You should know in your first year or so if this is really for you, don't you think?
That's correct, because it's not for everybody, and surgical services isn't for everybody either,
right.
And for me, that was my passion.
Some people look at their own blood and they faint, so it's not for everybody, is it?
That's correct. But, and that may be, you go to some other phase of nursing and that may be your bag. So, don't be scared off by the first experience you have either. And
men and women are both. I mean, men are getting more and more involved with nursing too nowadays, aren't they?
That's correct, and they make very good nurses.
Oh. All right. Very good. Sandy, thanks so much for stopping in. I appreciate it. You've been a great guest. We appreciate it, and thanks for visiting with us and letting us know about your life, too. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, Mark.